Today I'm reviewing Full Ace Tennis Simulator, which is one of my favorite tennis sim games on PC. If it's your first time seeing this game, you might think it looks a bit outdated with stiff animations, and you could be wondering, what's so special about this game? Well, let's start with the tagline. No nonsense, just tennis. That pretty much sums up what Full Ace is all about. There's none of the typical gaming stuff here. No season passes, no paid DLCs, no gimmicky game modes or unrealistic features, no unlocking stuff in career mode or distracting side activities. Full Ace is all about pure, on-court tennis simulation. But does it deliver a satisfying tennis experience? Abso-fucking-lutely. In this video, I will make the case for Full Ace to be worth your time and money. But before we dive into the review, a couple of disclaimers. First, this game is mostly made by one developer with a low budget, which affects mainly the visuals. Second, Full Ace is a true tennis simulator, so it's a niche product. The game is not designed for casual gamers who want an easy, fun tennis game that looks like tennis but doesn't necessarily play like it. But despite its limitations, I still think that even casual tennis gamers should give tennis sims like Full Ace a shot. It's a deeper, more competitive and rewarding experience than the mediocre arcadish games that companies like 2K or Big Ant Studios keep cranking out. So, first let's dive into what really matters in a tennis simulator: the gameplay. If you've played games like AO Tennis 2 or the Topspin series, you'll pick up Full Ace's gameplay mechanics actually pretty quickly. The shot mechanics are time-based, meaning you hold the shot button and release it just at the right moment, right before the ball hits the racket. The better your timing, the better your shot. Full Ace also introduces precision-based aiming, letting you manually aim exactly where you want the ball to go. Unlike games like Topspin, where you only choose the general direction, Full Ace offers more control and precision. Arcade-style games don't really offer a true risk-reward factor, and that's a big downside for me. In those games, you can aim wherever you actually want, and your shot won't miss, often even when your timing is off. For instance, you can mess up your timing completely in Topspin 2K25, and the ball will still cross the net most of the time. But in Full Ace, it's all about that risk-reward, and I love it. If your timing is off, you're probably going to hit the net or make an unforced error. If you hold the stick too much in any direction, you're going to mess up. There's also a cool feature where you can quickly tap the button again after releasing your shot to turn it into an aggressive shot. It's a super high risk, high reward tactic, especially on higher difficulty levels. How accurate your shot is actually depends on a lot of factors here. Timing, the type of the shot, player stats, opponent's shot speed, ball height, and your energy levels. And because of all of that, shot making style in Full Ace is super satisfying and rewarding. Beyond advanced shot making, Full Ace also features more manual movement. You've got to watch the ball and move toward it yourself. The higher the difficulty, the smaller the margin for error. And even though the animations might look stiff and a bit unrealistic, the running mechanics are actually detailed and lifelike. Now, I won't lie, the running animations are a weak point of this game, but the game does get inertia right. Players don't just stop on a dime after a full sprint. Changing directions takes time, and you can easily wrong foot your opponent. Movement is a key skill in Full Ace, and it's done very well. Next up, serving, which is one of the standout mechanics in Full Ace. It's actually my favorite serving method in any tennis game on the market. I wish games like Topspin or Tiebreak would adopt this system. You have a lot of control over your serve, thanks to multiple inputs required. First, you select your serve type, like slice or flat, by pressing the corresponding button. Then, you hold that button to set the serve power. Next, you've got to time your press to hit the green zone on the bar. Interesting thing is that the stronger your serve, the smaller that green zone becomes. Finally, you aim your serve into the court, but be careful. If you move the left stick too much, your aiming zone gets bigger, increasing the risk of an error. It's really awesome that the serve strength impacts the mechanical difficulty of getting the serve in. It feels realistic and rewarding when you nail it. There's a real payoff for mastering the serve mechanics in this game, and I freaking love it. One area where the gameplay falls short is volleys. The animations work fine for net play, and if you can get to the ball while it's still close to the net and above it, you will score a lot of winners. The issue with volleys, however, is the movement. Your player is very vulnerable at the net, and responding to a decent passing shot is almost impossible. This is because your player moves too slowly for the amount of space they have to cover by the net. Another crucial element of gameplay quality is shot balance. We've seen in games like Topspin and Tiebreak how frustrating it can be when one shot type is clearly better than others. Thankfully, Full Ace does a great job of balancing all the shot types, each with its own strengths and uses. Topspin is your go-to shot in Full Ace. It's safe and gives you the potential for tight angles. Flat shots are the most challenging, especially as the difficulty increases. They can be, however, a game changer, either winning or losing you the point. Slices are your defensive weapon, slowing down the pace and forcing your opponent into a more cautious game. All in all, the risk-reward balance between the shot types is spot on in Full Ace. Finally, let's talk about the physics, an essential part of the gameplay. The ball physics in Full Ace are excellent. The slice doesn't float awkwardly. The topspin shot actually feels like a real topspin play, and the flat shot has a satisfying bang to it. The ball spins in Full Ace, and that spin affects how the ball bounces off the court. Different surfaces actually feel different in Full Ace. On clay courts, rallies are longer, with higher bounces and slower acceleration after the bounce. On grass, exchanges are quicker, the ball picks up the speed of the court, and it bounces lower. These court physics are noticeable and well executed in Full Ace, although I wish there were surface-specific movements like sliding on clay. The attention to detail is nonetheless still impressive. Now let's talk about the difficulty and AI. Full Ace is an interesting case where the game can be as difficult or as simple as you want it to be. At its core, Full Ace is a tennis simulator, but the game is surprisingly approachable and flexible when it comes to difficulty. This flexibility starts with the game's wide range of difficulty options. You can adjust how sensitive the shot release timing is, tweak the serve speed, or modify the aggression of the computer opponent. What I particularly like is how the CPU's aggression works. Higher aggression doesn't automatically mean the CPU is better. Instead, it goes for more risky winning plays, which can result in more winners, but also more unforced errors. The game is actually quite easy on the lowest difficulty, with forgiving shot timing mechanics, slow serves, and plenty of time to react and move. As you improve, you can gradually increase the difficulty settings, giving yourself a sense of progression and satisfaction. When it comes to AI, Full Ace delivers a solid challenge. The CPU is hard to beat and generally makes good decisions. Each player in the game has unique AI settings for things like net play, aggression, and even the ratio of inside-out plays. On medium settings, the AI can be a bit more predictable, but when you crank up the difficulty to realistic, the CPU makes smart plays and outwits you frequently. If you're curious about the challenge Full Ace offers in single-player modes, there's nothing to worry about. It can be very challenging. Now let's dive into the online gameplay. Online play in Full Ace can be incredibly rewarding. Your palms will be sweaty, tensions will rise, and when you find an opponent at your skill level, it's a blast. But there's a catch. It's not easy to get into online in Full Ace. The default settings for online matches are set to the highest difficulty, known as realistic. And believe me, these settings are no joke. New players will struggle to even start a rally, let alone be competitive. To make things even harder, the online community often plays with nerfed versions of players to make the experience even more challenging and realistic. So while Full Ace is quite approachable in single-player mode, online matches are a whole different story. Plus, with the game being a niche title with a small player base, you're mostly going up against experienced veterans. I really wish Full Ace had online tournaments with less hardcore settings, similar to how Tennis Elbow 4 does it. Now, let's talk about the single-player career mode. The career mode in this game covers the basics. You can choose your favorite real player or create your own and start your career up to 6 years back from today. The career is structured week by week, letting you choose which tournaments you want to compete in. There's an energy system that works well, and your player's skills improve passively over time. Physical abilities improve until the age of 26 and then start to slowly decline, while technical abilities keep improving over the course of the entire career. However, Full Ace's career mode has some significant limitations. For example, it lacks dynamic elements such as player retirements or new players entering the scene. This can make the career mode feel stale after a while. As for other single-player content, you have the standard features you would expect, like exhibition matches and tournaments, but I wouldn't say there is a ton of variety in the gameplay modes. The career mode is serviceable, but it doesn't match the depth or excitement of some other tennis titles, like Tennis Elbow 4 or AO Tennis 2. Now, I need to talk about the game's shortcomings. There's a lot to love about Full Ace, but it has some significant downsides. The most obvious one is the production value. Even though Full Ace has sharper graphics than some other indie tennis games, the player models and running animations are still very limited. The graphics themselves are quite basic. While the courts are passable, they don't hold a candle to what you would see in more polished titles. The crowd and surrounding visuals are also quite generic, which takes away from the immersion. The good news is that the developer is aware of the issues and plans to improve the game, though the progress is slow. Another significant downside is the lack of licensing. Full Ace does not have any official licenses, which means there are no real-world players, tournaments or venues in the base game. Thankfully, the game has strong mod support, so players have created a wealth of real-world players, courts and even tournaments that you can add to the game. There's basically one mod that you have to install, which is called FA Mode 1.7. That said, the lack of female players is a bit of a bummer. Full Ace is entirely male-centric, with no option to play as or against female players. This absence is definitely felt, especially in the single-player career mode. Finally, the learning curve for new players is quite steep, especially when it comes to the controls and timing mechanics. It takes a lot of practice to get comfortable, and even then you will find yourself missing shots that you feel like you should have made. To sum up, Full Ace Tennis Simulator lives up to its promise of just tennis, no nonsense. The game excels in delivering a pure, satisfying tennis experience with detailed gameplay, realistic physics, and a challenging AI. However, it falls short in production value and lacks some of the features and polish seen in bigger games. Full Ace is truly a tennis purist dream come true. The gameplay is complex, the challenge is real, and the satisfaction of improving and mastering the game is immense. Overall, I consider Full Ace one of the best tennis sims on the market, rivaled only by Tennis Elbow 4. The game is not perfect, but it's a deeply satisfying tennis simulator that delivers a pure tennis experience. So, what do you think of Full Ace? Let me know in the comment section. If you liked this review, drop a like and don't forget to subscribe for more content like this in the future. Anyway, that's all from me in this video. Thanks for your time and I'll see you in the next one.